Hello and welcome to the Rhythm Changes podcast. I'm your host, Chris Fraser. Thanks for joining me. Today's guest is Vancouver guitarist and composer Cole Schmidt, considered an absolute mainstay in Vancouver's jazz and improvised music scene in the last 20 years. To say that Cole has a full plate at any given time is a gross understatement. Just in the last few months, for example, Cole's massive, dreamy, Herculean project of a record with legendary Vancouver, now Melbourne-based cellist Peggy Lee, Forever Stories of Moving Parties, was released in November to critical acclaim. More recently, Cole's group Knee Jerk released their second album, The Speed of Dark, in May. Both records are available on Bandcamp. And on the horizon, Cole has upcoming projects with Sick Boss, his longtime project, a new group called Letter Opener with Fevin Kidane, Kevin Romain, and Nebu Johannes, a duo record with fellow Vancouver guitar god Alvaro Rojas, and even a solo guitar record in the works. In short, the man is making music happen, and in more ways than one. For those who don't know, Cole is also co-artistic director at the Coastal Jazz and Blues Society. Cole invited me over to the Coastal Jazz office in Mount Pleasant to chat about the upcoming 40th Vancouver Jazz Festival, the state of the Vancouver scene in general, and how booking music can be a lot like writing music. It's a pretty interesting conversation, so please enjoy. What is that room? Is that just like an archive room?
That's where we keep the old posters.
Yeah. I guess we'll start here. We're in the Coastal Jazz office.
Why don't we start with a bit of respectful silence for the people that are so challenged right now and displaced in these parts of the world? Is that okay? I know it's a radio show, but we can all probably take a minute to sit still and just reflect. I don't know how to speak about all this big noise, so it'd be easier to just sit still for a second and reflect on that.
Sure.
All right.
Thanks, Cole.
Maybe we'll cut that out.
Yeah. No, I appreciated that. No, I think that is like it's a really heavy time right now. It's really hard to look away, and so it kind of does feel weird to start doing something that feels trivial, like a jazz festival in the middle of this kind of thing, right?
Or a podcast about a jazz festival.
I mean, yeah. No, the podcast is necessary and all.
That's what we need more of.
We need more podcasts.
Well, it's a tool. It's a weapon. Music is a weapon. We know about that.
Well, sure.
And instrumental music, even more so. We have to lean in a little closer, perhaps.
Why instrumental music?
Well, I say that because it seems like it takes a bit more imagination to know what the message is if no one's using the words. But that's just a quick thought.
No, that is
words are great too.
It's a very deep, quick thought. I also like music as a weapon. I think that's a strong word to use, weapon, because people might say like a tool. It might be a way to convey a message. What makes it a weapon?
Collective listening?
It's a way of being able to harness people's attention, possibly against their will.
Yeah.
Depending on how noisy it is. Depending on where it is.
There's that side of the weapon too, but...
Well, I guess, yeah, if you can get hundreds of people together in a certain place, I mean, there's potential there.
Yeah, and I think there's, at least with this music that I think we're probably connecting on, there's a chance to be vulnerable or feel this kind of humility.
Yeah.
That maybe just puts you on the ground a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's also meant to be shared. The whole concept is about resistance and also just reacting, listening, helping each other build something. Mm-hmm. And most of the work that goes into setting up the performance is based on that too. So
yeah, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to be done for sure. And you, And so you're thinking like, in the end, you do all this work. You said you were running around town all day. Do you have any expectation for like what the outcome of the festival would be in any given year?
I think it's a similar outcome for me. I turn 40 this year, which is how old our
Wow.
festival is. Yeah, I know I look a lot younger, right?
No, no, you don't. No,
I don't look a lot.
No, I just mean that's funny that you're the exact same age as the fest.
Yeah, every time they bring a cake out for the fest, I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah,
Hey,
this is my cake. No, I've been going to it since I was like 15, so I know what
Yeah.
it feels like to enjoy the festival.
yeah,
It used to be in different places, and there were different people around and different musicians, and
yeah,
but I remember what it felt like when I first started coming, and I remember in my 20s starting to play at the festival and knowing what that
Yeah.
felt like. It was really amazing to have those gigs, and
yeah. It's a big step.
yeah,
It's a big step to be able to be, because it's very validating, right? Because you go to see this music, right? You're young, you're just getting started, you're not sure about yourself as a musician. Like there's a period between you being considered a musician and like a listener at the same time. It's like you're an appreciator of the music as much as you are a player of the music, I guess. And then that kind of like shifts over to you being like mainly a player who obviously is part of it, and you're contributing, and you get to be like a part of that thing that you admired so much. Like that's a huge thing. And so like I feel like it's cool that you have like this kind of connection to the fest though, like just like in your age and everything. Like and you had a cool story about, was it the first time you went to the festival or first time being involved in it or something, like where you were putting up the posters?
Yeah, so I started going when I was a teenager. My dad would take me out to shows.
Yeah.
It's kind of right around the age that I was starting to fall in love with music.
Mm-hmm.
And then this festival was just there to tap into. So I imagine a lot of musicians have this because it's, I don't know how to put it into words. It's just grateful that this came around every year.
Yeah.
As we were like learning about the music and discovering things about what we loved about the music. And so then fast forward a few years, I was at Cap College studying, and there was a poster on the wall that said if you help put up posters for Coastal Jazz, you'd get free tickets to the shows they were putting on. And at the time they were doing a lot year round. So I went every month to this office, or it was around the corner from where we are right now, and would pick up a bag of posters from a super nice woman named Gwen. Actually, I just remember everyone in the office was so sweet. Like it just had this vibe. Like
Nice.
there's such a good feeling in that place. I remember like leaving the office several times and be like, wow, that would be a nice place to work.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my introduction. But I got to see like tons of stuff that I had no idea about. Like the ICP orchestra came and played at VCC, and I remember someone was like, yeah, you should just go check that out. Like people just would give me a heads up. That's going to be good. You should check it out. You don't know anything about that. Go check it out.
Cool.
And anyways, so it was a great opportunity to hear a lot of new music.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like the Jazz Fest already is like a pretty good opportunity to see like free music, right? Like,
yeah, it's mostly free.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's really, I think that way it's actually really, people, I don't know if people still think this, but I remember like growing up, like people thinking of jazz music as being like music that old people listen to. I feel like that kind of is shifting a little bit, but I feel like the festival has always been something that's very like accessible to young people, in particular young broke people, because you can see the best music possible for free most of the time.
Yeah, Coastal's been very generous like that.
Yeah.
We have a reputation. I mean, people who don't leave this city, there's things about this festival that other festivals don't do. So one of those things is we give a lot of it away for free.
Okay.
And
I feel like that's the kind of thing that makes it a festival. You know, like it's happening. Like it's just like you can come in and out of it or whatever. It's like it's something that is probably it's likely outside or like, you know, like if you go to like Montreal in the middle of the summer.
that's true. I forgot about Montreal. They're like giving Stevie Wonder tickets away for free. So
No, I'm not talking about their fest. I'm just talking like in Montreal they just have like these festivals, right? Like just in the street. And so like that's kind of like what comes to mind when you think of a festival. So like what you want is to be able to freely participate in it. I think that really is kind of like what gives it that spirit. Where are like most of the free shows this year?
The opening weekend at downtown at the Art Gallery.
That's right.
There'll be 5 bands playing
Yep.
each day. Headliners on the Saturday are Kneebody, and on Sunday is Micaiah McCraven, who's bringing a really
Those
cool,
are crazy bands.
cool band.
Those are crazy bands to see live.
That's
for
right,
free.
for free. I think they're going to be full of people. I think it's going to be a good day of music. Actually, we're stoked about the program for both those days, and we just added 2 DJs to the mix to play between the bands.
Oh,
One
cool.
is Nina Mendoza, which is going to be great, and DJ Duel. That I think it's just going to lift the day even more.
Sweet.
And other free stuff exists. I mean, we have artist talks at the Western Front, which will be great. We have a few artists in residence this year. Susie Obara's coming. Actually, that's a picture of her from like 25 years ago with Peggy Lee and the late, great Paul Plimley.
Wow.
Yeah, little babies.
So wow.
She's coming. Susie is coming for a week to teach young kids to improvise, which is a program we started last year with the Western Front. And yeah, giving some artist talks. There's also a piano player, amazing piano player and composer from France named Eve Rieser. And she'll be here for 5 days. She has an artist talk and she's playing a solo set at the Revue and a couple collaborative gigs with some great local players. So
yeah, man.
So you asked me about the free stuff, but that is a big portion of the free program. Sure. So most of the festival exists. The second half of the week is all on Granville Island, and there's free shit happening all day.
Yeah, Granville Island's always a great spot. That was my first gig in Jazz Fest is on Granville Island.
The market stage.
Yeah.
That was a good first gig for all of us.
Yeah.
This is the one gig where they told you to bring your own drums.
Yeah, that's right. And there wasn't a stage per se, I don't think. Or no, maybe there was.
Yeah.
I think it was elevated.
Definitely a little elevated stage.
Yeah.
To protect you from the seagulls.
Yeah, and a nice canopy to protect from the sun.
That's right. Who were you playing with?
That was with Millie Hong and Eli Davidovici. Played just trio, just guitar trio.
Did I give you that gig?
I believe you did. Yeah. Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll get to the thank yous later, okay?
Yeah. We will be doing about 25 minutes straight of me thanking Cole. I mean, yeah, I knew what kind of gig that was. Really was like a cutting your teeth gig.
But back in the day, like, I mean, there are these little structures that you can say that about, but I remember looking at older programs and seeing that Ken and Rainbow would put like Peter Brotzman on the stage, like these names that you're like, whoa, they played the market stage.
Wow.
So
okay.
There is the status of it is actually it's something maybe some people don't even think about, you know.
Well, I think maybe that's just you started getting different stages. Cause it it kind of like morphs around, right? Like where the Jazz Fest ends up happening kind of like moves around the city. Cause I've talked to a lot of people who talk about the Jazz Festival in like the 90s where apparently it was all in Gastown.
Did you miss those years?
Yeah. I don't think I really was going to the jazz fest all that much until
Yeah, I don't remember the year exactly, but
like
I think around 2013.
like probably 2013 is like the first one I really started going to the fest.
That's right around, I think, when we changed Gastown. I think Gastown then changed to downtown, the art gallery. But yeah, that was good. That's where like I started seeing the music. So as a teenager, I was like, would get the guide and circle names. This is a story friends have heard me say before, but circling like, oh, who's this guitar player? Tony Wilson. Okay, I'll go check that out. That sounds, oh, he's playing the Beatles and Charles Mingus. And okay, let's see what that is. And I remember there was a sax player who doesn't play anymore, but his name Masa Anza, and he had a Meshuggah hat on.
Whoa.
And I remember thinking, whoa, you can play the saxophone and wear a Meshuggah hat? That's good. And Tony, I didn't know anything about the music, and he said, this next song is a Beatles song. And then he played I was like, knew every Beatles song, and he played it, and I was like, that's not a Beatles song. So
whatever you say, man.
But that's just,
Which one do you remember what he played?
I want to say it was I Am the Walrus.
Oh, cool.
But there was another arrangement he had too that I'm forgetting. But it was like, Russell Schulberg was probably playing bass, and it's like all these people that I would spend so many hours with years later.
That's really cool.
But also just the main point of that is that I didn't like it. That was I came to see something with open ears and I didn't like it. And then
right, but that's healthy, I think.
Well, it shows this taste thing that we develops, right? Hopefully.
Well, it's funny because like I feel like taste. I've been having this conversation with people so much lately about taste and like developing taste, and it's not hard to do. You just have to make a decision about something, right? You just have to be able to like hear something and say yes or no about it. And
how hard are you saying no? And how many years will you hold that no?
Right? Yeah. I feel like people aren't needing to say no as much anymore.
That's cool. I like that.
Because they are, like when everything is a curated playlist and everything is, tangentially related to anything else that you listen to, you end up with this very personalized version of your taste. So like you can build the taste, but only by saying yes. But I'm not sure if that's, I don't know if it's good or bad. But I have a guitar student who is telling me he listens to a lot of music. He's a really musical guy. But he was telling me, he's like 17, 18 years old. He said, I have a friend, and when he listens to music, he just listens to the whole album. And he said that to me like I would agree with him that's crazy.
Crazy.
Like, no way, ew. And I'd be like, no, man, I do that too. That's normal. That's the normal way to listen to music. And he just listens to all the music that he likes. And he builds like a large playlist on Apple Music, but then he just shuffles it. Which there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but it's different. I don't know. It'll be harder for people to expose themselves to things that they may potentially not like. And like you were able to see that and just say like, oh, what? No, he did that wrong. He didn't.
I don't know what. I just mean to look back, because Tony was a musician that 10 years later I was like so fascinated by.
Totally.
On all levels, and the influence like got to me. Like,
yeah.
And we went.
But that's the thing, right? Like you still came back. You still came back to see Tony wherever.
Right.
Eventually you would work with him quite a bit. And you don't get there by like not participating in the scene and just understanding like that maybe this thing that I don't like is actually something I don't understand.
Yeah. I again turned 40, and there's these things where it's revealed that thing that you were saying you were certain about. Yeah. Just you discover that you're full of shit, and it's actually like, oh, that's not right. I do like Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
Like, I think I just didn't like the people in high school that listened to Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
patterns that get in the way or distort that.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, exactly. And like, but I wonder, like, now that you are artistically directing, co-artistically directing. I was trying to figure out a way to put co in there as well. Do you find yourself taking a chance on something that you don't like?
That's a good question.
Personally,
I don't know if it works that way. I mean, I wanted to say that the process of like talking about the process is, when I started this gig 10 years ago, the person who hired me was like, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to talk about the process.
Okay.
And I love telling people what I think about everything and whatever comes in, but I often find that I feel weird about it after the fact. So, but I will say, because it feels inspiring to say this, it feels like writing music. So it's like you're choosing a chord, or you're choosing a note, or or even picking a band or something. There's a sense of like, oh yeah, this is gonna work. That's as much as I can say about it.
I guess
that kind of like creative.
No, then I kind of feel what you're saying then, because if you're writing music, you're probably not going to include a chord you don't like, or that you don't understand in some way, right? Because that's probably why you didn't. I mean, admittedly, that's why you didn't like Tony at first, because you didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I guess the whole reason why you have this job is because you have the capacity to understand a lot of this music.
Perhaps. I mean, still working on it.
Yeah.
Of course. And there's tons of new music coming in.
Yeah.
All the time. So again, it's hard to say much with certainty around that. But it's a feeling. Fair. And I also share this work with someone who's also like super great. Knows the festival. This is Jeremy Page, and he knows it longer than I know it, and so we're keeping each other in check, and
that's good.
Yeah, it's someone to bounce the ideas off, and when things feel really certain, then we push for it. But one thing that's crazy about this job that maybe people don't think about is that the music is improvised. So it's like, how much are we gonna say we know or take credit for? You're putting people on stage that are creating experiences or moments, and that's, we're all waiting for that. I'm taking part in that process too. So
has a group ever like really surprised you compared to the material you were presented with when you first booked them? And have you ever been like, this is not exactly what I was expecting? Like,
if any example, I can't think of too many examples, but if any examples if I sat with it, it would mostly be like something to do with like nervous energy, or like an anxiety from the artists, or entitlement, or something where they just kind of weren't grounded.
They weren't being themselves.
Yeah, because I think like one thing about the festival gig that's great is the audience is often baked in. The shows sell out, people come out. You can expect to have an audience, and when there's an audience, people make better art, because the best gigs are when everyone's hanging on every drop of the music. So that kind of comes with a bit of like, oh, this is probably going to work. There's a bit more confidence booking these gigs, because we know people are going to show up and listen. So,
does it ever go the other way, where like maybe you end up liking something way better than you expected you would? That probably happens a lot.
Of course. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm hopefully I'm there when the good shit's happening too. Yeah. I have to move around a lot too, so I'm not sitting like still for the whole set all the time. Yeah. But no, it usually surpasses my expectations, or I'm trying to position myself in a way where I'm excited to see what's about to happen. Yeah.
But you are in an administrative role. So like I imagine it's actually pretty challenging for you to be able to like truly enjoy the fest, maybe in the way that you would have been able to 10 or 20 years ago?
Probably just like drinking more or something, like partying. I was on vacation or something. So, but I had another example. Last year we had an amazing artist from South America, Argentina, Juana Molina. Amazing songwriter and creative musician. Play on the downtown stage, and she started. It was solo. Big crowd, and her synth was like out of tune, so there was a technical problem that came up that sort of dismantled her flow, and that created a bit of tension, like it wasn't happening. But then she like got pushed through that, and then things like really came alive, and at the end she was dancing and everyone was dancing, so we got to see that sort of like hiccup come back to life, and that
kind of situation is so hard to come back from, like emotionally.
She like, was a pro.
Just gear,
tuning,
betraying you, and on the gig, it's happened to me like once or twice, and like I can't like even if everything gets fixed and everything after that, I feel like the rest of the gig just feels like just television static in my mind, where it's just like, I don't want to think about that. I feel like I was just like coping for the rest of the gig, you know what I mean? But like if you can get like, all these people outside to like dance to your music afterwards, like that's probably an incredible feeling to go from such a low to such a high in the span of one set.
I'll get back to you about all those other bad gigs that
sure, yeah. Yes.
It's not for me, it's for a wide range of people, so it does feel like a really inclusive party. And it's been like that for as far as I've known about it, and there's people that work for this festival that have been doing it twice as long as me, so and artists, of course, that have been playing it since before I was born, so it's hard to speak about it in a way that's like generalizing everybody's thoughts, but I know that the people that started the festival had remarkable taste, so it's we have some pressure to keep hitting that, and we honor that, and there's all these people that show up to work for that I don't see the rest of the year, that volunteers and stuff, and they're tuned into it similar deep level that we're tuned into it, so we're responsible to make it good for everyone that's coming.
Does that involve like some tough decisions? I mean, it has to, because you only have so many stages, you only have so many days.
We have less gigs for the local scene, which breaks my heart, because that, it's not hard. I know who didn't get the gigs,
right?
And that's challenging to just sort of work with.
But that's part of it.
That's part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, like you apply for Jazz Fest and you hope for the best, and that's just kind of how it goes.
And it's not really a reflection of whether the music's good or bad. It's a lot of different things.
Right. Yeah.
It's a puzzle. I think I've heard we're definitely thinking about every single gig.
Yeah.
I think some people think we just plug it in or whatever and get
right.
headliners together, but it's not like that. It's like we're really going over it several times before it works out.
Yeah.
So
like what goes into, like, are you curating venues to have a certain vibe, like one venue versus the other venue?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, where we get a flavor of what works in these spaces, and then we try to use our imagination.
I'm really glad Tyrant's being used for the fest finally.
Yeah.
Like officially.
Yeah.
Because I love that room.
Yeah.
It's such a great mall-ish room. Just jazz club-sized room.
Feels like a real jazz club. Like it's like not pretending to be a jazz club.
Yeah. Like it's...
Which is weird because jazz is so much about like this bullshit detector.
Yeah.
And then there's these rooms or this like branding for jazz all over the goddamn world that's like, It's so gross, or like what's a
Yeah.
better word? Come on, help me out here. Help me out.
It's gross. It's well, it's I guess bullshit, right? Like,
Yeah, and I think that's where people hate on the music too, but maybe that's changing
well,
too.
it contains so much, and it's free to call your music jazz. It doesn't cost you anything. But yeah, just like, I don't know, the room just makes such a difference a lot of the time. And again, like somewhere like that, like it can get so, I've seen it get really rowdy in there, but I've also seen it like just like it's full and it's like super quiet, and just like the ability to play to a quiet room is like such a nice thing to have as a performer. And like a very quiet and like dead room.
Bartender doesn't know how to serve non-alcoholic drinks, unfortunately.
Right.
But
Yeah. He's got a heavy hand. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's gonna be good. Obviously, yeah. Like I'm gonna be playing the jam session there. Happy to have a jam session. Man, I was looking at this. We're in a room like surrounded by old jazz fest posters from over the years. I'm looking at this Kamasi Washington one from 2018. I remember being at Frankie's for the jam session. Were you there?
I heard about this. You were at that jam session?
I was
when
at
he
that
came?
jam session
Oh,
that
nice.
Kamasi and his band showed up to. And they played Mr. PC at, I don't know, 320 beats per minute for like 20 minutes.
Oh,
And
that's
like
awesome.
12 minutes of it was Kamasi soloing.
Was there like a bag of mushroom powder or something in the pocket? Or
Probably.
No, that must have been. Was there
He
a
looked like he
kid
was
that was
fine.
at that joined him on stage? I remember
kid?
hearing, or like a young student that got up there and played with him.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I can only remember it just being him and his crazy band. And that he was like 8 feet tall. Wearing a robe. That was really cool. And that's when the jam was at Frankie's, and Mike Allen was hosting. He would host it every night.
Did
for
you
that-
ever
for that
experience O'Doul's?
No.
But you heard about
I
it?
just barely missed O'Doul's. And
Yeah.
I've heard about it a lot. I think that building just got demolished.
Yeah, I would assume you're right about that.
Yeah, I think Vincent Lim just posted about that on
Hmm.
Facebook. He's like,
It was crazy because that's where, I believe that's like also the hotel where all the artists were staying. So
Oh,
it was very
okay.
convenient for them to
Right.
like
so
keep
sort
hanging.
of like Frankie's. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But I remember like George Benson was like at the bar like
Wow.
watching the band or something.
Yeah, I keep hearing these stories about how like musicians would be at the bar watching the band playing. That's like so many stories were like that. Which is so funny to think, because I mean, I feel like, I don't know, someone like George Benson, like he doesn't just like casually sit at a bar. At least not anymore. I don't know, like
I don't know.
even
George
back when
Benson.
that would be like as early as it could be, the Jazz Fest, like in the mid 80s.
No,
like-
that was not too long ago. I
Yeah.
remember that story was maybe 2010 or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways, this happened all the time. I think there's so many things about the old festival that are really like they create a lot of pressure on us because it was
Right.
such a glory time.
Right,
There's
yeah.
so much money and so many gigs and big artists
Yeah.
coming through, and
Well, so many of those, yeah, just iconic artists were still around and touring and stuff, right? Like we have fewer of them from like, the Blue Note era,
yeah.
But I met George Benson once during Jazz Fest. That was like one of my earliest Jazz Fest memories, was just happening upon like a friend of mine happened to have tickets to George Benson's show. This was at, I want to say, the Orpheum, and she posted on Facebook. She was just like, "Hey, does anyone want like a ticket to George Benson in like 45 minutes? Like, I have 2 extra tickets." And I was with Millie Hong, and she showed me her phone, and I was like, "Let's go." And she messaged, it was a friend of ours from Captain, Carolyn, and her husband knew the Ibanez rep for Vancouver, and the Ibanez rep couldn't make it to the show, so he gave him the tickets, and he had 4 tickets. We go to the show, and he comes back with 4 backstage passes
Nice.
to this show, which I was not expecting. And yeah, like after the show, we got to meet George. And have you met George?
No.
He's like a demigod.
This is the closest I've ever gotten to meeting.
You're getting him through me. And he was just like holding court for like an hour in like this. It was like a gym locker room behind the Orpheum stage, with like a table of canapes, and he offered me a Budweiser beer. And he told some amazing stories. He had this one story. It's like the most like dad humor ever. Where he was like, when I was like 19, 20 years old, I went to Elvin Jones's birthday party. As you do. There he is. I'll try to take a picture of all these posters that I make a reference to. What is that? Elvin Jones Jazz Machine. March 3rd. What year would this be?
I remember I was at Cap when that.
Okay, can you tell me? Okay, I'm interrupting my own story. Okay, I'll finish the story, but I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you this question afterwards. George Benson went to Elvin Jones's birthday party, and he's like this young kid, and he goes and everyone's partying, and he sees Elvin Jones, and Elvin Jones is sitting on the floor with his back against the wall. He's just staring forward, like a dead stare. And George, this innocent kid, he's just like, is Elvin okay? Like, what's wrong? Is he all right? It's his birthday. And John Coltrane comes up to him and he says, "Oh, don't worry about him. He's just high." And channeling George Benson here, he says, so I turn to John Coltrane and I say, "He's high? He looks low to me."
That's his story.
That's his story.
He was young. He was still learning the craft. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. Okay, no, I want to ask you, what's the jazz hotline? Because a lot of these older posters, they have a phone number that says Jazz Hotline 682-0706.
I think it was just a way for people to phone in and find out what music was happening that weekend.
Okay, yeah,
like
that makes
rhythm
sense.
Changes.
It's rhythm changes.
It's the beginning.
That would be such a good option for like paid subscribers to the Rhythm Changes newsletter. They could just call Will and ask him what's going on.
No, it was I think it was recorded every week, so it would be an answering machine.
So it's like a movie phone.
That's what a bit like movie phone, exactly.
Yeah,
but I do remember someone on Rainbow told me this, that in the beginning she was the one that recorded that, and she would give the list of it, and then she would say, at Capone's this Sunday night, Michael Bublé. That's pretty big guy.
It's pretty funny
for a small room.
Where was Capone's?
That was in Yaletown. I think I got that right. Capone's. There's one on Broadway that I mix up Capone's with, but yeah.
Why isn't he playing in town anymore? You know, he lives in Burnaby.
I don't know.
I'm
tired of people asking me that. That's for sure.
We want Bublé. The Kamasi Washington show. Some great shows.
What are the other transformative ones for you? This is the kind of the word that's been rolling around for me, was that it was transformative. Yeah, I mean that
was crazy for me. That was crazy to meet him.
Well, not so much
but like just going to the show even.
Yeah. But what shows? There must have been some other ones.
You know what? When me and Mealy had met up, it was right after we had seen a different show at the CBC studios.
Right. That space was cool.
That was the Chris Terry group. And I remember seeing Pete McCann on guitar in that group. And I was blown away by his playing. And like I'm still pretty clueless, but I was like almost totally clueless about gear back then. And I was wondering what gear he was using because he had all these different effects. And I went and talked to him, and I was asking him about like what he was using. And he had it was a Digitech multi-effects pedal. Like the step up from the one that I had. That was like the first pedal I ever bought from like Tom Lee when I was like 14 years old. His was the one that had an expression pedal on it. But it was like literally the same thing. And I was like, wait. He's like, yeah, this is my mobile rig. This is because I'm on tour. And that, I mean, I don't know. It was just, it's really cool to be able to like meet people and talk to them. At least for me, like I've always like tried to like make an effort to just like myself in the ass and just go talk to people, because usually they're totally willing to talk.
Usually.
But I mean, that one was huge. Seeing Peter Bernstein at the Robson stage with the organ trio with Larry Goldings and
Bill Stewart.
That was,
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I think that was in 2016. Yeah. That was pretty huge. No, that was earlier. 2015 maybe. But that was crazy to see them. Like, I didn't know you could play like that. And like organ trio too, because like I was always going to, I always talk about this on the podcast. I always went to like B3 Beatdown at Frankie, or no, not Frankie, at the Cellar Jazz Club.
The Beatdown, B3 Beatdown.
B3 Beatdown. It was on Tuesdays. It was Chris Jestrin and Jesse Cahill, plus somebody usually. So usually Corey, maybe Dave Sekula, maybe Steve Caldset or whatever. And it was free for students to get in, and it was like $4 pints of Russell Cream Ale.
I think those are still rolling around inside.
Yeah. And so I not to say that like what they were doing was even that different, but they were, you know, I remember those B3 Beatdown gigs, they were playing like Jack McDuff and Jimmy Smith stuff like almost exclusively. And then to see like Peter Bernstein with Larry Goldings and Bill Stewart doing the like modern version of that and totally pulling it off without it being contrived in any way. It's literally just like fully up to date organ trio. And I was like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was at CAP, someone found like I think Mary Jo had a DVD of that trio playing at Smoke in New York.
Oh yeah.
And somehow like burned a copy.
Yeah.
We were just like passing it along, like, be careful with this thing, man. Like, so weird.
I love bootlegs. I love that stuff. The worse quality, the better.
Oh yeah.
I have some pretty horrible quality bootlegs from when I was in New York.
I think I have like a Kurt Rosenwinkel, The Culture on a mini disc stuffed away somewhere.
Nice. With who would that be with?
Who's the drummer? Jeff Ballard.
Jeff Ballard.
I think he'd just started playing with him.
Okay.
No, it was Ari Honig.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And this is a long time ago. What's so crazy about looking like, because we have access to all these old festival guides and stuff. I would look at those shows like a Pat Metheny show or these things that were like, oh, we're all going to Pat Metheny. That's going to be and then now it's like, holy fuck, like ICP was in town from Amsterdam, or like these things are just like so big and important to me that were also happening down the street, or like just this abundance of different.
Yeah, but like, how would you know?
I wouldn't know, and I wouldn't have liked it back then either. Yeah. But just to know that, I think we're trying to maintain a bit of that too with our program.
I do wonder like how often, I go to see something new, and then in 30 years I'll be like, oh yeah, I saw them play a Tyrant or whatever. Right?
Dean Thiessen Big Band.
Yeah, the Dean Thiessen Stranger Friends Orchestra. Yeah, I saw him play because I was in the band. No, I mean that.
You guys sounded great. That was an awesome.
That was an awesome show, man.
That band has a good vibe.
Yeah, and he's like writing like crazy too. He wrote so much new music. That's like 4 new big band arrangements just since the summer.
Wow.
We played Jazz Fest last year. Like
what?
Or was it the year before?
Year before.
Yeah.
But you guys did play last year. No, that release or that recording was from a year before.
You're right. Yeah. I keep mixing up last year and the year before.
We had an idea. Who was it? There was someone there that we were laughing about. Oh, maybe it was Will. It was like you guys released the album that you recorded last year.
Yes.
And then the year after, you release a double record.
Yeah.
Of the 2 shows.
Right.
And then you keep this thing going until it turns into a box set.
It's an anthology. Yeah.
And we can all get bootlegs for that.
Yes. I assume you made a bootleg last week.
I totally bootlegged that show.
You had it in your boot.
I sold it to everyone.
Yeah.
That's it feels good for me.
Yeah. to sell the bootleg.
It was nice though. It was a good crowd. It was so weird because I've been telling this to people, but at one point I went to the bar to order a drink and I saw all these like young kids that were there that were hanging out, and I was like, oh, maybe I should be that old guy that offers them a drink. So, hey, do you want to? And they all said no to me. They're all drinking glasses of water or cups of water, and I was like, that's so different than how I remember it to be.
What, at the big band show?
Yeah, just like just friends in attendance and stuff. I won't name names, but it was like the culture is definitely changing, and it's cool to see that, because my understanding is that the industry is mostly based on alcohol sales, and we're all just trying to figure out how to have some good music and sell some beers.
No, you can sell non-alcoholic stuff for the same price as beer now.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's how they're doing it.
Yeah.
That's true. That did happen to me.
Yeah, you can just sell Sprite for $8 now. It's fine.
Well, they didn't want Sprite either. They were just like, no, we're good.
Do you guys want Sprite?
Can
I get a round of Sprites for you all?
Yeah.
Man, yeah. Just looking through, I grabbed some of these posters.
Who's that handsome fella?
I love this Wayne Shorter one from 1980 something.
Definitely 80 something.
No, 95.
Oh.
95. The Wayne Shorter septet with David Gilmour on guitar. Which is not Pink Floyd David Gilmour.
Do we know that?
Well, it's not spelled the same. I think it's O-U-R in Pink Floyd. But maybe most people didn't
typo.
Maybe it could be a typo. Yeah, you're right.
What else we got here?
Well, okay. Well, this one is crazy. This one is from 1991, back when it was the Du Maurier Jazz Festival.
Who's this first name? Have we heard of him?
Who?
John Korsrid's Hard Ruber.
I know. The Hard Ruber Orchestra.
91.
Is this all for one venue? Oh, yeah.
This is
Vancouver
like
East Cultural Center. Yeah.
Oh, man. These would all been
so
great.
So this is 12 shows.
Don Cherry.
No, not 12 shows.
Bobby Previtt.
Because some of these are Jazz Hotline.
Ellis Marcellus.
Yeah. That's crazy that the Hard Rock Orchestra was playing in 1991. Playing Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
They made it to the fest. This was from last year.
This is 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago, yeah. See, I keep mixing it up.
This was a crazy show, Liturgy. Do you know about that?
I don't know about Liturgy.
That was the opening night at the Fox. Just transcendental death metal.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was
cool.
Fucking so intense.
Wow.
And we had Big Brave from Montreal open for that, and then Farida Amadou was here as a artist in residence. Great bass player from Belgium, and she played solo. It was and she sounded so cool. She had the bass on her lap, and she was drumming on the strings and fuzz pedals and stuff like that. It was like really noisy.
Wow.
Sounded really great in there. Full room of metalheads. So it was like a nice way to be like, because this happens in all genres. Jazz has this elitist thing, but also like,
totally,
you're a rock guy or punk guy,
God,
you also can like hate on other genres like this. So it's nice to try to find ways to trick
and like
people.
metal has all their subgenres too.
There's that too.
Subgenre loyalists.
Yeah. My cousins are metalheads. I grew up with that music, and they're still going, and they make fun of me for my work, for my interest in jazz. But here we are on a podcast making fun of them about.
Yeah. Now who's I was laughing.
But that's also a really passionate audience, the metal scene, which is I always really remember that was a really impressionable, like going to shows, like people were damn serious about the shows they're about to see. In in a music setting, like this is important to me. This reaches me.
Yeah, it's funny. Like it's funny how that works. Where like metal is a specific genre where you can really tie it to your identity. You can be a metalhead. You can be like punk rocker too, or but like it's a little bit. I don't know how you'd be able to be a bossa nova guy.
I think we're doing it, man.
I think are we bossa nova guys right now?
Let's say
maybe we are. But how am I making it my external personality? How can I make it so that you can spot me from 2 blocks away, the way you can with a metalhead?
I don't know if I can answer that yet, but it's obvious for sure with you and I. But it's also funny because you get stuck in these little thoughts about this is the heaviest. No, this is the heaviest.
Yeah.
And then like I love playing John Coltrane Quartet for metalheads.
Yeah.
Or like YouTube video or
this
people are passing things around. It's like put on this Coltrane live thing and just check out that drummer for a little while.
Yeah.
It's like actually that might be the heaviest.
It is. I mean yeah. That's true, but that's funny because there's a lot of metalheads who do convert into loving jazz. Like,
I can only think of one.
Well, I feel like half of the guitar players who like start going to jazz school.
That's true.
Like, come from being metal players.
It's true.
And then just fully change.
I wonder what the parallels are. I guess from what I remember, metal is also like, you're taking rhythm and.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say melody. I want to say harmony.
Yeah.
I'm also laughing about saying that.
Yeah.
But there's this like extreme where
but it's
you're taking something.
Music. Yeah.
It's definitely rhythmic and it's definitely intense and it's definitely like trying to put the pedal all the way down.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a demand for a certain level of virtuosity and like dexterity on your instrument.
Yeah. And it's non-commercial. So
that's
it's also like
also true.
Do whatever the fuck you want. It's doesn't matter. So these things.
So what? How do you get to booking a death metal band then? Because like I know that like death metal can be like very open ended compared to other.
We
kinds
knew
of metal.
that was like going to be ultra.
Yeah,
and that was important. Ken used to book stuff like that.
Yep.
Boredoms. Rainbow was also like, there's this lineage with this program that's all been about these like crazy shows where something really crazy musically is going to happen.
That's cool.
So I guess that's a bit of an homage to their.
What was the most ultra show you can remember?
Of all the festivals?
What's the most ultra? Doesn't have to be the best, just the most ultra.
Pat Metheny group or something? I don't know.
Al Green?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, Al Green's there.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I would be... Yeah, that's a good question. But there's other ones on here that pop out too, like White People Killed Them. That was also Farida. That was the guitar player from Deerhoof.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Raven Chacon, composer, American. And yeah, just super noisy. And that name was so awesome to put in there too, like as like, oh, you going to White People Killed Them? Yeah, I'm going. I got my ticket. I remember hearing a lot of people hated that show and a lot of people just loved that show. So it was one of those kind of...
That's a good sign, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
I think they said the same thing about the Ancheta quartet, actually. Just kidding.
About the Nightcrawlers. Yeah, man. Are you already booking? Not booking. Are you already thinking about next year?
Nope. I'm thinking about next week. Actually, I'm thinking about tomorrow morning, probably.
Okay, fair enough.
Next year. No. we're celebrating this one first.
Cool.
But we'll get started.
That's huge, man. 40 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. We owe a lot to this beautiful party.
Yeah. Dude, it really is always like such an awesome, it continues to be the best part of the year for me.
Yeah, I love that. My dad had that too growing up. Like, he would take the week off.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of also been in my trajectory. It's like, this is when everyone just, like, we do this. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have, well, not the week off. I mean, I'm playing a couple shows, but like, I am. It has been in the past where like I'm working or something like during the jazz fest and I can't really see anything. But I think I'm just gonna be playing, which is working, but I'm there.
Yeah.
So, I'm really. Yeah, I'm gonna try to really, really dive into the jazz fest in a new way this year.
I should be there.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be hard to catch you.
No, I'll be there. I'll be hanging.
Yeah.
What else are you excited about? Come on.
The thing is, like, okay, for me, like, I don't even think about like who's playing Jazz Fest until like maybe the week before.
That's how I am too.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Because like there's people who will be telling me about it like a month from now or 2 months from now or something. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't register to me right now. It needs to be in the moment, basically.
Yeah. I think everyone should go see Emmanuel Wilkins and the String Quartet.
Oh my God, yeah.
We just opened up a second set for that. But
I saw that, yes. On the same night, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, second show.
Yeah. Is that one at the playlist or the Playhouse?
It's at the Western Front.
Oh, really?
Opening night, yeah. And it's going to be 2 intimate shows.
That's going to be so crazy.
It's a Canadian premiere. It's huge for that small space, and he's going to play a little bit solo up front, and then all this music has been written. So, yeah.
What day is that one?
That's the opening night, the 20th.
That's opening night. Yeah, that's going to be so good. Yeah, I missed Emmanuel Wilkins last time he was here. Yeah.
I think downtown's going to feel... I'm just going to go through it a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
See what we can plug.
Whatever comes to mind. Yeah, please, just go for it.
Things, but yeah, downtown's going to be a great party. I already mentioned that. It's lots of local friends. Faven Sextet's playing.
Mm-hmm.
Amphibious is starting the day. Don Pemberton. Empanadas Illegal. These DJs have now been placed. Jill Townsend, big band's going to play.
Oh, yeah.
I'm forgetting things, but it's just going to feel good. I think we're trying to go with a bit of a theme for like, get off the phone, get out of your thinking mind, your worried mind. Let's like move and be together. So
totally.
I feel like the downtown 2 days there are going to feel like that. And then that opening weekend also has all the shows at Tyrant, which is going to be great. There's 10 days of music at Tyrant.
Yeah.
Different groups hosting each night, doing a set of their own music, and then following with by hosting the jam. So that should be good. There's always people from out of town that come through and sit in, and lots of room for surprises there. There's a great... I could plug your show, but I'm not going to. I'm going to plug the night after your show. Save your energy. Stay at home Monday nights. Just kidding. There's a band from Sweden called Music, a trio that has been here before 10 years ago. Someone that Ken and Rainbow used to invite all the time. And they're going to do a trio set. And then open it up into a jam. So that'd be a good opportunity for some people to just connect with some musicians from Sweden that can really
get an alcoholic drink.
Try to get a non-alcoholic drink from Steve at the bar. And where was I going? Oh, they're also playing 2 days later at Performance Works with a local chamber music quartet glued into the band. So like a septet, trio plus 4, and that's with Meredith Bates and Sam Davidson, Parmala, and Heather Beatty.
Cool.
Yeah, that'll be good. That's anyways, just plugging it. I don't know. And then Wednesday starts, and it's just music on Granville Island all day, all night. So grab a program. I don't know. Get on the internet. Phone me.
Call the jazz hotline. Call Will.
Call Will.
Yeah. Man, it's gonna be a great fest. It's gonna be a great fest. And it's a big party. 40 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
on doing it, man. Here's to
It's
another
also like
40.
a good chance to just give a nod to the people that have been doing this all year. This team is great.
Yeah.
Nice connection right now. I could name names, but it's they know who they are if they even listen to this show.
Yeah.
But great people to work with and great at what they do. It's really chill right now, and everyone's worried because we're all too chill, but I think it's because everyone knows how to do this.
Yeah.
So
You've hit a stride, I guess. Yeah.
find out soon.
Yeah. No, man,
but-
it's going to be crazy fast, man.
And there's a whole bunch of people that obviously have put a lot of care into this behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
that I'm thinking about these days. Like I said, just people that are backstage, filling the coolers full of drinks and stuff, like just making it feel good for all the artists.
Yeah.
And
That's important.
super important, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this festival has a reputation of really making people feel good, and I think
Yeah.
that's sort of baked in.
Totally. Yeah, really good hospitality. Yeah.
I've met people in parts of like small towns in France that like played the festival in '91 that are like, oh man, that festival changed my life.
Wow.
It's like like it kind of makes me like, oh, what were they doing that was so
It was
like, what can you describe this? But like it's really made a mark on a lot of people.
Wow.
And both Ken and Rainbow, who they were just building bridges all over this world with artists like yourself, and it's been a lot of growth.
I mean the fest really does, it helps you to connect, and it builds, like you said, just like bridges with people from other scenes, and it introduces you to, audiences and everything. I mean, it's just like it's just a very positive force in the scene, and it's amazing to be able to have it every year and for so long. 10 days is crazy.
It's 12 days this year.
12?
Yeah, we got the July 1st celebrations.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is also going to be really fun. Evan Arnson's coming
Oh,
back.
really?
We reached out to him just on a whim, like, oh, it'd be nice to have like someone who used to play the festival, grew up with. I wonder if Evan, and she's like, yeah, I'm supposed to be there a few days later, and are you guys open to me inviting my grandpa to join?
Yeah.
Who's 98 years old
Yeah.
or something? And it was like, really? That's gonna feel good.
Yeah.
So I think,
Wow.
and Jen Hodge is coming back for that.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a really fun day of music. The last gig of the festival is Cowboy Bebop Band.
Oh, nice. Where's the...
That's all at Ocean Arts, so it's just
Yeah,
a
okay.
full day of music at
Awesome.
Ocean Arts.
Yeah, it's cool to hang out there. I was able to hang out there like the whole day, one day last year. It's just cool to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What do you have to say about the rest of it, the scene these days? It feels like it's just like on
Well, I mean,
fire
you were
right
saying
now.
that there isn't as much local stuff.
I didn't say that. There's so much local stuff. It's hard to actually find
Well,
room to.
you have
Coastal doesn't seem to produce.
yeah,
as much.
like for the fest. I mean, like
Oh, sorry.
yeah, for the fest, you weren't able to like book as much local stuff as you wanted, right?
There's just less gigs. We lost
Yeah.
a lot of gigs a couple of years ago, so it's less room for that.
Can't really blame you. It's like, but the good news is that there's so much music right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
Um,
full on.
I have like a couple like non-coastal jazz gigs like during that week.
Nice.
So it's like, I don't know, like I feel like things are working out, at least like with the scene. Just like there's a lot happening right now.
Are you able to tell me a little bit, like, I know Tim has produced so much, and he's got so many great ideas. It's always just buildings, activating all these
Tim
rooms.
Reinert, yeah.
Yeah, but where are all these musicians coming from? Are they just was it to do with like during the pandemic and lockdown and just people?
I think that
is it just the luck of a.
I think there was kind of like
because that's amazing.
I mean, this is pure speculation, but I think that like because of the pandemic, there was like kind of like a backlog of musicians, but also a lot of musicians moved back to Vancouver. Like John Nicholson, for example.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
he's been playing a lot. He plays once in a while, you could say.
Yeah.
He was living in Toronto, and it seemed, as far as I was aware, it seemed like he had plans to live in Toronto for the foreseeable future before the pandemic happened.
Hmm.
The pandemic had hit, and it made sense to move back here.
So it's all John Nicholson's fault.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, actually, what it is that John moved back, and now there's just more gigs because he's here.
That doesn't make any sense.
He just brought the gigs with him.
There's no gigs there either. No, I know there's tons of people doing things.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think that's part of it. I think one thing that Tim was able to do early on, well, it hasn't even been that long, and now he's up to booking like 40 shows in a month or whatever.
Like a festival every month.
Yeah. And I think what he was doing in the beginning, which I think was a good strategy, was he was just like going out on a limb and booking younger musicians or less experienced musicians or something, and like giving them a shot, and
just listening to people talk about other musicians that were.
Well, yeah. But also, I mean, he's been like plugged in to the scene, like doing his radio show and stuff. But like, I think he just had this strategy, and I'm totally speaking for him right now, but it seems like I was on one of those earliest gigs at that club on Davie Street.
I want to say Celebrity. It was above Celebrities.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't Celebrities. It was a different one.
I was there for a show too. I saw the Brad Turner Quartet featuring the great Todd Stewart
with Todd on drums. Yeah. Yeah, that was. I forget what the name of that room is now, but it was a nice little room. I played there with Jamie Lee on drums.
Nice.
It was her group. It was me and Thad Bailey Mai, and Marcus Abramczyk on bass, and filled up that room. This was a completely untested group. Obviously, the musicians are all good, but it's like completely untested group to like do something like that. And then he starts doing the late night at Frankie's, and I think that also worked as like a way to kind of like incubate new talent.
Yeah. And that caught on too. Like that was filling up every weekend. Yeah. And that was a hang.
Well, it's a good idea to just like be able to basically like have that audience just stick around. So I think with that he was able to come up with like this roster, I guess. But also like he obviously is just keeping his ear on the ground about.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, and planning ahead, and it's beautiful. It's so like it's nice for the city. It's super activated. You go everywhere in this world right now, and everyone's just it's all doom. Venues are shutting down, and people are retiring or not making as much music because they can't support themselves. And it's like whenever I hear someone say that about Vancouver right now, I'm like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about.
I feel like you're not really paying attention. It really is like that's old news. Like I feel like there was a period of time, like maybe right before the pandemic, maybe where people were really like, oh, the cellar is gone, and like I don't know, like any number of things that people will get down about, which makes sense. I mean, there are a couple of venues that have disappeared over the last couple of years that are pretty like tough to swallow. Like Pat's was really rough to lose, I think. But I don't know. I just feel like there's always like if there's a vacuum, it's gonna be filled somehow.
Yeah, I mean that's what got me into this horrible mess. Is I came out of CAP and trying to like do things, and there wasn't a lot. Everyone was at the playing at the Lever Room and getting treated really poorly and complaining about it a lot. So it's sort of like this. It was just grating on everyone at the time. I know people played there for years later, and then the old guard who I was close to were sort of also saying how great it used to be. This is how I remember it.
Right.
25 and just like came out of CAP all eager to do stuff, and it wasn't much. So there was a Mexican restaurant right near my place that I went and talked to them. Oh, can we do something? And just the timing of it, it just started filling up, and then we added another night. And so these things, when they're not working, it usually
El Barrio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it always leads to someone just being like, all right, enough of this. I'm going to go start some shit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and people are going to want to play somewhere. That's just like what it is.
Yeah, and some people are just so convinced that like, oh, this music isn't happening, like the more improvised music in town, like that's crucial for people and crucial to certain musicians that really identify as those kind of musicians. And so when that's not happening, they have to like, they either give up or they're like, let's do something, let's do a thing, you know? So that's forever going to be the story of all this music, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, Vancouver's feeling pretty cool right now.
Well, and it's also like a relatively young scene too. Like we don't have like the median age of musicians, especially lately, it's quite low for like a major city's jazz scene, I think. And I think that helps because there's a lot of energy. And there's a lot of people who are willing to put in the work. And it's like surprising. Because I think it's easy to like see like, I don't know, younger people and be like, oh, they're just on their phones, they're all lazy, they don't care about anything, they're all ironically detached. But I don't see how that's really any different from any other generation of people at that age. They're just doing what everyone did at that age, just in their own version of it because of the times. But I think like there's always going to be people who have the energy, and just having anywhere for them to play is like really important. I always thought, I mean, like the Lieber Room was, like not the best gig, right? Like it didn't pay all that well, and you didn't get treated all that nicely.
Which is weird, right? It's like, can you just give me one of those options?
Yeah, please.
Do you have to not pay me well, buy yourself new pants, and treat me like shit?
Yeah. But like,
sorry, I cut you off.
No, I'll take getting treated well. Like, you know, like.
I mean, El Barrio didn't pay people very well, but it was a vibe.
It was really. I loved hanging out at El Barrio. I went there a lot.
Yeah.
But I still think that kind of gig was there's still value in that, just because it was a low stakes regular place to play. I mean, like, for all of its flaws, it was still booking music 7 days a week.
And Bruno was there.
And you could just go see Bruno play an hour of solo jazz piano.
Amazing.
Like with his like map. He had like his like tune map.
That he was titles folded over or whatever.
With the what?
He folds like his titles over on his lead sheets because it psychs him out or something like that. Like
his titles?
The titles on like a standard or something.
Yeah.
Have you met Miss Jones? You don't know. It's just the chords and the melody.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, but quirky.
See, I knew we should have gotten Bruno on the podcast.
I know, I would have helped with this nervous energy for sure. Yeah. He's playing, opening that series, the daytime afternoon series at Performance Works.
Great.
His trio with Andre and Joe Poole.
Oh, man.
And Brad Turner as a plus one.
So that's okay.
It's almost the Brad Turner
It's almost
quartet.
the Brad Turner. Yeah, except Todd Stewart isn't playing. So
no, because I talked to, and he was so excited about that, like about being the leader of that group, and I think they're excited about it.
I mean, obviously it's going to be different from the Brad Turner quartet.
I think he said he even wanted to try to play some Brad Turner quartet music.
Just imagine Bruno being like, yeah, I've always really loved his tunes. I want to play some at my gig.
Anyways, come to the gig. I think it's June 25th, 2 to 4 at Performance Works.
There you go.
Also co-presented by Queer Arts.
Oh, great. Man, you know what Coastal should do is do a screening of Bruno's Blues.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
That
Like
could
at the
be
Rio.
amazing. Like before his gig this year.
Yeah. Let's try to make it happen.
Where did you see that movie?
I saw it when it came out.
I was there too.
Fifth Avenue.
We were all in that room together, not knowing each other. That's pretty weird.
That I know that is really funny. Actually, I keep hearing about people who are also there.
It was like only 2 nights, but we all saw it.
Wasn't it playing like all month?
I hope not.
I think it was like Friday and Saturday for a whole month at the Fifth Avenue. I could be wrong. It was definitely there were definitely 2 days where it was playing. I think I saw it on the Saturday. And that was, it's funny because like I went to go see it and it was an insane movie. But I think even some of the references went over my head because I think I'm a little too young even to understand some of the extremely niche Vancouver jazz memes, inside jokes.
Yeah.
that movie is filled with.
There's a friend of mine that I've recently been playing with the last couple of years, Carlos Sillins, bass player.
Okay.
And he's apparently in there ordering a hot dog from Réjean.
From Réjean.
Which I don't remember
the
at all.
infamous scene.
But apparently that's who buys the hot dog. So now I really want to see it again. These little like Easter eggs, is that something like that?
Yeah,
like,
it is. I think that's
like,
the whole thing with that. At least with the second half of that movie, is that it's just filled with Easter eggs. Them looking for Bruno. Before it's like kind of like a mockumentary. But also, okay, the other thing though is that like that movie is filled with like some amazing like performance footage.
like people just jamming in the basement at the McGill house. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that last scene where they're at the studio.
Denzel and Sean Cronin.
Yeah. And yeah, Bruno's like such a funny part of the scene because like I don't know, I feel like he just kind of like pops his head out once in a while, but he's like such a singular piano player. Yeah, and you would be able to see him for free at the Libre Room before you play, and I would play at the Libre Room, and then I would finish at midnight, and then
let me guess, eat pizza.
What?
I was going to say, let me guess, eat some pizza.
Yeah, I eat some pizza, but Gord Gardina and Ken Lowen would show up.
What? After
and play
midnight?
a late set, yeah.
After midnight?
I think so, yeah.
Really? That's crazy.
Unless I played the earlier set and then they came for the later set.
That sounds more accurate.
Anyways. Yeah, maybe. I just never played the earlier set, though. I always play the 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. set. I guess once in a while I would do the 7. Anyway, this is getting reminiscent.
I know, we got to get out of here.
Yeah. It is actually dark in this room now. We were making a joke about it, about it getting nice and dark. We were not being able to
see anything in here. Should we wrap it up, or is there anything else?
Maybe I think it might be a good place to wrap it up. I think we're going to be able to drop this podcast well before the Jazz Fest starts. So. What is day 1 of Jazz Fest again?
Well, it actually starts on June 18th.
Right.
With a band on a boat.
Yes.
Featuring John Gross, Jim Hobson, and Faven Kadani. And wow. Do you want to describe the setting of this gig since you know it? Yeah,
I did it last year with Thad Bailey Mai and Nick Bracewell. And it was honestly such a great like I did not expect it to be as good of like a stage as it was.
That's a weird gig for me to offer, just so you know. Like, can you load your shit onto this boat at Grand Island?
It worked.
But it's getting cooler every year.
Yeah. Also, the False Creek Ferry guys are all great. And do you know Lowen?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like the manager.
Yeah, and he's a musician too, right?
Yeah, he's a violin player. I play with him in Milo Johnson.
Yeah.
He plays with Faven.
Yeah.
He plays violin in that group. It's me, Faven, John Nicholson, Milo, and Lowen.
Nice.
And we played a show together a couple months ago at a co-working space in East Vancouver. And it was super fun. It was like it's a really great acoustic drumless trio quintet. with all of Milo's original music, and his music is so, I don't know, it's very cinematic, and like I think the violin adds that. But oh yeah, I was talking about the False Creek Ferry show.
Yeah.
Well, you end up in this bowl with like this seating around you, because it goes into this little, what do you call that? It's like I
don't know what to call that.
The ferry takes the band into this a cove, a
Not
bay,
a deep cove, but
a cove, where you have this, I don't know what kind of, like just like large stair styles seating.
It's a jazz on a boat, a little boat.
Yeah, but like it's not just like they're out in the middle of, in the middle of False Creek, just like there's actually, it turns into like this little venue.
Yeah.
And it works really well. People were like listening. Like
it sounded awesome last year.
It was really fun. We were just sort of playing whatever.
I was trying to get them to get 2 boats where we could put like a rhythm section on one and have them sort of move around.
I think that would end up being, dangerous. Maybe be too much.
Too dangerous. Anyways, that's the first gig of the festival.
Yeah.
And then we have a little night off, and then it starts on the Friday, June 20th, and goes for 10 days. And we'll also come back on July 1st for a full day of music.
Yeah.
Come on out.
Come on out. Number 40.
Number 40.
Number 40. We're here. We made it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. See you at the fest. Thanks again to Cole for hosting me at the Coastal Jazz office. I had a lot of fun just leafing through old programs and posters in there. So I got to get back there and scratch a little bit more of the surface of the scene. As we mentioned in the episode, Coastal Jazz will soon be celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Vancouver International Jazz Festival at the end of this month. You can catch today's guest with Peggy Lee and guests playing Forever Stories of Moving Parties on Wednesday, June 25th at the Revue Stage on Granville Island. Our own Will Chernoff will also be playing with friends of the show, Madeleine Elkins and Kevin Romain, in the Madeleine Elkins Trio on Sunday, June 29th, 4 p.m. at Ocean Artworks, also on Granville Island. As for myself, I have the absolute honor and privilege of being featured in 4 bands this year for the festival. On Sunday, June 22nd at 2 p.m., I'll be playing some gospel tunes at Heroes Welcome with Mary Ancheta and Edmonton's own Biboye Onanuga, also friend of the show. On Monday, the 23rd, I'll be playing a set and hosting the official Jazz Festival jam session with my quartet at Tyrant Studios. That goes from 9:30 until late. On Thursday, the 26th, 4 p.m., I'll be playing in the John Nicholson Quintet at Ocean Artworks on Granville Island. And finally, I'll be joining the great guitarist Luka in his group at the Civic Plaza in North Vancouver on Saturday, the 28th at 1 p.m. It's going to be an incredible fest. I'm a little terrified after listing all those shows, but I also can't wait. So see you there. Bye for now.